Hey guys, it's John Gibb back with Fight Insight, and UFC 248 is behind us now, and it had one of the best title fights I've ever seen and one of the worst title fights I've ever seen. I'm sorry I'm a little late. It's been kind of busy, so here we are. Better late than never. Just real quick, we'll go through the bottom of the card. Max Payne Griffin fought Alex Oliveira. I thought Max won the first round. He obviously lost the second round. The third round was really interesting because Alex got a takedown early in that round. Max reversed the position, so they both shared about 2 minutes of control time on the ground. And I felt like if Max had just separated and hit him with some big shots, even just tried to hit, like at least look like he was doing damage, and I think he would have won that fight. He would have walked away with it. So that sucks for Max. Max is from Sacramento. I'm from Sacramento. I wish he'd won the fight, but you can't win them all. We had Neil Magny made his return against Wiley's teammate, who I do not know, actually. I figured he must be pretty good if they're going to put him in there against Neil Magny, because Neil Magny is one of those guys who doesn't seem to be able to beat elite fighters, but if you aren't high level, man, Neil Magny will beat you up. And he did. Neil Magny looked really good. Really dominant performance, and beat homeboy up. So that was, I don't know, I felt like that they kind of fed him to the wolves right there. That was like a warm-up fight for Neil. But good for him. He's back in the saddle again, and I expect him to keep winning. He's a great fighter. Next, we had Close versus Bariush, and that was a pretty wild and dramatic fight. I mean, Bariush had his back for the whole first round. He rode his back, but I think it gassed him out because going into the second round, he was breathing with his mouth wide open, and I thought that he was in a lot of trouble. And Close came in, tried to get his striking going, rocked Bariush, and Bariush rocked him, and then Close rocked him again, and then Bariush rocked him. It was just a wild little 3 minutes. That was super high drama. It was a lot of fun. That had me screaming. So that was great and good for Bariush. He won that fight. He called out Robert Whitaker afterwards. I don't think they're in the same weight class, and it's not a fight he's going to get either. So Chael Sonnen would say, if you're going to call somebody out, make sure that it's realistic. Make sure it's a fight you can get. It's stupid to call out somebody who there's no way you're going to fight. You just wasted your call out. But anyways, so moving on into the co-main event, which was, I thought about it the entire next day. That fight was amazing. That was probably one of the most action-packed fights I've ever seen. Little fun fact, Wiley and Joanna scored the same amount of significant strikes in 3 rounds. So they had identical numbers of significant strikes, which that's really interesting. And based on that alone, I feel like you got to say Wiley won the fight, even though overall Joanna landed 20 more significant strikes than Wiley. But if they were tied in 3 rounds, you got to give the round to the champ if it's a tied round. So when that final bell rung, I didn't know who had won the fight. I think I was too wrapped up in it. I was like, God, I have no idea. But I think you should give it to the champion in such a close fight. I don't really believe in that saying that you got to beat the champ to be the champ unless things are close. And then I feel like, all right, that's an actual good rule. Yeah, just a fantastic fight. A lot of people are saying that it might be the best MMA title fight of all time. And it might be, it might be. It's definitely the best female title fight I've ever seen, but it's up there with one of the best MMA title fights I've ever seen. I think the only thing that I think maybe holds it back from that title is I think it was one of the most action-packed title fights I've ever seen. I think it was one of the highest displays of skill I'd ever seen. But the only thing that it didn't have that I've seen some other fights have is that high drama where there was several moments where you feel like the fight was about to be finished. Kind of like the fight right before that, there was the 2 guys rocking each other back and forth, and you felt like, oh, he's going to close the show. Oh, he's going to close the show. And there's that high drama. I didn't think I felt like the fight was going to end for either girl at any moment. But God, hate to criticize that fight because it was just one of the all-time classic, instant classic. fantastic. I'm really happy that I watched it. Which brings me to Adesanya versus Romero. I was super excited for that fight. I mean, as you can tell, Israel Adesanya is one of my favorite fighters. And God, that one just did not deliver. Going into that fight, I really did think that Adesanya would employ a tactic kind of like Robert Whittaker did, where, Robert, if you watch those fights with Romero, Robert attacked a lot. He was doing like single shots. Rarely did he commit to big exchanges, but he threw a lot of single shots, and he just kind of chip damaged Romero throughout the 5 rounds. And I did think that Adesanya was going to employ the same tactic. In hindsight, I realized that Whittaker took a lot of damage in those 10 rounds with Romero, and he's probably not even the same fighter anymore. So why would Adesanya use the exact same tactic that did so much harm to Whittaker? Another reason I think it was boring, and I really don't blame either of them, is you've got Romero who lulls you to sleep. He lulls people to sleep, and then he explodes when he sees his opportunity. And Adesanya was aware that that's how Romero is. You've got Adesanya, who has many times said that he does not spray and pray. He aims and fires. So he has really particular shot selection. He only is going to throw if he feels like he's going to land, if he feels like it's a safe and intelligent move. So when you put those two things together, the guy who's going to explode when he sees his opportunity, and he's gonna let you attack him a lot, use that rope-a-dope tactic, and you got Adesanya, who does really particular shot selection and is only going to throw a shot if he thinks he's going to land it. You had two guys who were waiting for each other. Good on Adesanya. He did do a lot of damage to Romero's leg. I think, that's the only thing of significance that happened in the fight. So I definitely would give it to him. I've heard some people say that they would have given the fight to Romero, but yet again, I mean, if you gave the title to somebody who barely did anything, he took a lot of rounds off, even though Adesanya didn't do a ton either. But if not much is happening, I mean, you got to give the round to the champion. So yeah, it's, boring fight. I don't blame either guy. I'm not mad at either guy. I think that just stylistically, that's just how it played out. And for people out there who are saying, oh, Adesanya is a boring fighter, I mean, come on, man. Adesanya is a fantastic fighter. He's super exciting. It was just a weird stylistic matchup, and it didn't turn out that well. So going forward in the next fight, you're going to have Adesanya fight Paulo Costa. I would bet my life on it that's a super entertaining fight. So I look forward to that one. And then Romero I think he should fight Kelvin Gastelum next. And since Romero's fights are entertaining if somebody brings the fight to him. Kelvin will bring the fight to him. So I think that both guys, Adesanya and Romero, will redeem themselves in their next fight. I mean, that's assuming that Romero fights Gastelum next, which I think is a fight that makes just a ton of sense. I think people would like to watch it. So yeah, that's it. It was a interesting night. One of the best title fights I've ever seen, and one of the worst title fights I've ever seen. And that's it. All right, you guys. I will see you next time.